Once upon a time, the sun rose over the village, spreading gold and pink across the sky. But in a quiet corner of the village, a young girl sat by the old mango tree, her face buried in her knees. Her name was Chinonso. She was not like the other girls laughing and running about. She had lost her laughter a long time ago. Before, Chinonso had been the happiest child in the village. Her father was a strong farmer, his hands turning dry soil into fields of gold. Her mother's voice was sweet, always singing as she cooked in the kitchen. Chinonso would dance to her mother's songs and help her pick vegetables. But one terrible year, sickness came like a thief in the night. It took her father first, then her mother. Chinonso cried until her tears ran dry. After the burial, she had no one except Madame Ifeama, her father's second wife, who came to take her away. Madame Ifeama lived in a bigger house with her two daughters, Ngozi and Amara. From the first day Chinonso arrived, they treated her like a servant. "Put your things there, you lazy girl," Madame Ifeama said, pointing to the small kitchen. "That's where you will sleep." Chinonso's heart sank. "But where is my room?" she asked softly. Ngozi laughed, her voice sharp like a twig snapping. "Your room? Do you think this is your father's house? You sleep where we tell you to sleep." Amara smirked and added, "And you will wake up early to fetch water, wash clothes and cook. Or do you want to sit here and eat free food?" Chinonso said nothing. She only nodded and quietly sat in the corner. From that day, her suffering began. At dawn, while the rooster was still crowing, she was already outside with a broom, sweeping the whole compound. She fetched heavy pots of water from the stream, carried firewood from the forest, washed Ngozi and Amara's clothes until her hands were sore, and cooked for everyone. When food was served, Madame Ifeama always pushed the smallest portion toward Chinonso. "Eat this," she said. A servant must not eat more than her madame's daughters. Some days, Chinonso went to sleep hungry. She slept on a mat near the firewood, and when it rained, the cold wind blew into her little corner. But Chinonso never complained. When tears filled her eyes, she would sing her mother's lullaby under her breath. Even in the storm, the sun will shine again. It was the only thing that gave her hope. The villagers had seen Chinonso's suffering, and they whispered about it in the market. "Ah, that poor girl," said one woman while pounding yam. "Her stepmother is too wicked," another replied. "She works that child like a slave. But Chinonso is strong," an old man said with a nod. "Mark my words, one day the gods will reward her." The gossip reached Madame Ifeama's ears. She only laughed. "Let them talk," she told her daughters. "As long as Chinonso lives under my roof, she will do as I say." Ngozi tossed her hair proudly. "Let them gossip. They are only jealous because I am the most beautiful girl in the village." Amara giggled. "Wait until Prince Abina sees me. He will surely choose me as his wife." One bright morning, a royal messenger arrived in the village square. His horse's hooves struck the ground like drums. He blew a horn and everyone gathered around. "Hear the words of King Azudo," the messenger cried. "Prince Obina will host a royal ball at the palace. Every maiden is invited, for the prince will choose his bride." The square erupted with excitement. Women clapped their hands, girls squealed, and the drummers began to play. Ngozi's eyes widened with greed. "This is my chance," she cried. "The prince will see me and fall in love." Amara clasped her hands dramatically. "Oh, sister, you must let me borrow your golden earrings. I will look like a princess." Madame Ifeama's face lit up with pride. "Both of you will go," she said. "I will buy the finest cloth. You will wear the best perfumes. We will show the whole kingdom who we are." They turned to Chinonso, who stood quietly by the doorway, her hands still wet from washing dishes. "May I go too?" Chinonso asked softly. Madame Ifeama spun around. Go, you in your rags? Ngozi laughed until she nearly fell. Imagine Chinonso at the palace. The prince will run away. Amara clapped her hands. No, Chinonso must stay home. Someone has to cook for us when we return. Tears filled Chinonso's eyes. She turned away so they would not see her cry. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Chinonso sat alone under the mango tree. The moon shone down and the wind blew softly. She hugged her knees and let the tears fall freely. Why must I suffer so much? She whispered to the stars. Have I done something wrong? Mama, Papa, I miss you. If only you were here. Just then, a soft rustling came from the bushes. Chinonso looked up in fear, but what she saw made her gasp. An old woman stood there, her clothes glowing faintly as if woven from moonlight. Her hair was silver, her eyes kind. Child, why do you cry? The woman asked gently. Chinonso wiped her tears. They will not let me go to the ball. They say I am not worthy. The old woman smiled. Do not fear. Your heart is pure, and tonight you will shine. She tapped her staff on the ground. Suddenly, Chinonso's ragged dress transformed into a gown more beautiful than anything she had ever seen. It shimmered like the morning dew. On her feet appeared glass slippers that glowed under the moon. A golden carriage rolled to a stop before her, pulled by 2 white horses. Chinonso's mouth fell open. Is this for me? Yes, my child, said the woman. But listen to me carefully. You must return before midnight, or everything will disappear. Chinonso nodded quickly. I will remember. Then go, said the old woman, smiling. Tonight your destiny begins. Chinonso stepped into the carriage, her heart beating fast. For the first time in years, she felt hope looming inside her. And so, with the moon shining overhead, the carriage rolled toward the palace. The palace shone that night like a jewel under the moon. Torches lined the gates, drummers played thunderous beats, and maidens in bright gowns filled the courtyard. The sound of laughter and flutes carried across the land. Villagers who could not enter crowded outside the gates, hoping to catch a glimpse of royalty. Ngozi and Amara arrived with Madame Ifeoma, glittering in their new clothes. Ngozi wore a yellow dress while Amara wore a blue gown. They pushed their way forward proudly, tossing their hair and smiling as if they were already queens. Do you see how they look at us? Ngozi whispered, strutting. The whole kingdom knows we are the most beautiful. Amara laughed. When the prince sees me dance, he will forget every other maiden. But the truth was different. Though they were dressed in finery, their hearts carried arrogance, and arrogance has a way of showing on the face. Some villagers whispered behind them. Those are Madame Ifeoma's daughters. They walk like peacocks. Yes, but their tongues are sharper than knives. Still, Ngozi and Amara entered the great hall with pride. Inside, the walls glowed with lamps, and golden curtains hung from the ceiling. Musicians played flutes, drums, and stringed instruments. Food filled long tables, roasted goat, bowls of stew, fruits piled high. The air smelled of spice and laughter. Prince Obina stood at the center of it all, tall and handsome, his royal robe glittering with jewels. Every maiden in the hall hoped to catch his eye. Ngozi stepped forward boldly. Good evening, my prince, she said, bowing. Obina gave a polite smile but turned away. Mara tried to speak. My lord, would you honor me with a dance? The prince shook his head gently. Perhaps later. Their smiles faded, but they forced laughter, pretending not to be hurt. Then the doors opened. A hush fell over the hall. Chinonso entered. Her gown shimmered like morning dew. Her glass slippers sparkled, and her eyes glowed with innocence. She did not walk like she was showing off. She walked as if the moon had guided her steps. The entire hall gasped. "Who is she?" whispered one maiden. "She is not from here," said another. "She walks like a queen," murmured an old woman. Prince Urbina's heart skipped a beat. He had seen many maidens, but none like her. Without a word, he crossed the hall and bowed deeply. "My lady," he said, "may I have this dance?" Chinonso's cheeks flushed, but she placed her hand in his. The music began, and they danced. They moved as if the world had stopped. When Urbina looked at her, he forgot the crowd, the crown, even the throne. When Chinonso smiled, he felt peace he had never known. Madame Ifeoma clenched her fists. "Who is this girl? She dares to outshine my daughters." Ngozi bit her lip until it almost bled. "No, the prince was supposed to choose me." Amara stamped her foot. "I will not let this nobody steal my chance." They tried to interrupt, forcing themselves into the dance. But in their clumsy attempts, Ngozi tripped on her own gown and fell face first into a bowl of stew. The hall burst into laughter. Amara rushed to help her but slipped on the spilled stew and landed on top of her. Even the drummers laughed so hard they missed the beat. Chinonso covered her mouth to hide a giggle, and Prince Urbina chuckled. "It seems the gods are against pride tonight." The music played on, and the prince and Chinonso danced again, their steps light as air. But then the great bell of the palace struck once, twice. Chinonso froze. Midnight. Her heart pounded. She pulled away. "I must go." "Wait," Urbina cried. But Chinonso was already running. The crowd parted as she fled down the grand staircase, her gown flashing like lightning. In her haste, one of her glass slippers slipped off and clattered on the steps. She did not stop. She leapt into the carriage, and in an instant, she was gone into the night. The music faded and silence filled the hall. Prince Urbina bent down, lifted the glass slipper and held it high. "I will find her," he whispered. "No matter how long it takes, she is the one." The next morning, news spread through the kingdom. The prince would marry the maiden whose foot fit the glass slipper. The royal guards carried the delicate shoe from village to village, house to house. Maidens lined up eagerly, each convinced she was the chosen one. When they reached Madame Ifeoma's house, she had already prepared. "Quickly, my daughters," she said. "One of you must make it fit." Eva sat first. She shoved her foot into the slipper, wincing in pain. Her toes bulged, her heels stuck out. She tried to smile. "See, it fits." The guard shook his head. "No, it does not." Amara tried next. She pushed so hard her face turned red. "It will fit. It must fit." The slipper cracked slightly, but did not fit. The guards shook their heads again. "Neither of you is the one." Chinonso had been sweeping quietly in the corner. She dared not come forward, but one of the guards noticed her. "And who is this girl?" he asked. Madame Ifeoma's eyes blazed. "She is nobody. Servant, do not waste your time." But the guard stepped closer. "Every maiden must try." Chinonso hesitated. "May I?" The guard nodded kindly. "Yes, child, try." She sat down, her hands trembling. Slowly, she slipped her foot into the glass slipper. It slid in perfectly, as though it had been made for her. The hall gasped. Ngozi and Amara covered their mouths in shock. Madame Ifeoma staggered back, speechless. At that very moment, Prince Urbina entered with his royal guards. He had followed the journey, hoping to see with his own eyes. When he saw Chinonso, he dropped to one knee. "You are the one," he said softly. "From the moment I saw you, I knew my heart belonged to you." Chinonso's eyes filled with tears. "But I am only a servant." Urbina shook his head. "No, you are my queen." The guards cheered. The villagers who had gathered outside shouted with joy. Even the birds in the trees seemed to sing. The wedding was a celebration the kingdom would never forget. Drummers played until the earth trembled. Dancers spun in circles, their feet kicking dust into the air. Elders blessed the couple with kola nuts and palm wine. Chenonso wore a crown of gold, but her smile was brighter than any jewel. The prince held her hand, proud to stand by her side. Ngozi and Amara stood at the back, their faces pale with shame. Villagers whispered about their greed and arrogance. Madame Ifeoma bowed her head, unable to meet Chenonso's eyes. But Chenonso, with the kindness that had always been in her heart, forgave them. She did not allow bitterness to spoil her joy. In the years that followed, Queen Chenonso used her position to help others. She built homes for orphans, gave food to the poor, and opened schools for girls. She walked among her people, listening to their stories and sharing their laughter. She never forgot her suffering, but she turned it into strength. Her late mother's songs still echoed in the palace gardens, reminding her that even in the storm, the sun will shine again. The lesson of Chenonso's story is clear. Kindness is stronger than cruelty. Patience is stronger than pride. Humility brings honor, while arrogance brings shame. Life may be unfair, but with strength, love, and courage, even the most broken heart can rise to become a queen.